Imagine you're hearing a bell and suddenly, your mouth waters. Strange, right? That's Pavlov's secret at work, an unconscious trigger hidden deep in your mind. Have you ever felt a sudden craving or emotion triggered by a sound or sight, even though nothing obvious is there? That's the spooky legacy of Pavlov's discovery. Our brains respond to cues with surprising reflexes. First, let's set the stage. Picture a lab in the 1890s. Russian physiologist Ivan Pavlov is studying digestion in dogs. Pavlov notices something odd. Before food even appears, the dogs begin to salivate just at the sight of his lab assistants. Intrigued, he tries an experiment. He rings a little bell every time a dog is fed. At first, the dogs don't react to the bell. But Pavlov keeps ringing it right before mealtime, over and over. Then, something incredible happens. After enough repetitions, the dogs start salivating the moment they hear the bell, even if no food is presented. The dogs have learned an association. The bell, a neutral cue, becomes a trigger for salivation. This is classical conditioning. The unconditioned stimulus meat naturally caused salivation, the unconditioned response. But after pairing the neutral bell, now a conditioned stimulus, with food, the bell alone produced salivation, a conditioned response. Pavlov had uncovered a hidden rule of the mind. Associations can create automatic responses. But Pavlov's secret goes deeper. It wasn't just the bell. It was the timing, repetition, and context. The dogs learned to predict food. In their minds, the bell meant food is coming soon, and their bodies prepared. This wasn't magic, it was the brain wiring itself through experience. In fact, Pavlov noticed even more. One of his assistants wore a white coat. Eventually, the dogs started drooling at just the sight of the lab coat, expecting dinner. Subtle context cues became Pavlov's signals too. This shows that even subtle context, like an assistant's coat, can become a powerful signal. In your own life, uniforms, favorite songs, or even a certain lighting can serve as those same Pavlovian cues, stirring up emotions or actions without you noticing. Now, imagine your own life. You wake up to the sound of an alarm clock, a built-in bell, and suddenly you feel tired or crave coffee. You hear your phone's notification ding and instantly feel a rush of excitement. You smell pizza walking past a restaurant, and your mouth waters. All these are modern Pavlovian triggers. Your brain is constantly bombarded with cues. A ding from your phone floods your brain with dopamine, a mini Pavlovian reward. The bright golden arches of a fast food sign cue make your stomach rumble response because years of association have linked that logo with a tasty meal. Even favorite TV show tunes or video game soundtracks work like this. After enough repetitions, just hearing them can trigger excitement or nostalgia long before anything else happens. It gets even trickier. Advertisers are master Pavlovians. They pair catchy jingles, logos, and colors with emotional messages. Think about it. A jingle you hear over and over can make you smile, a conditioned response even if the product isn't in sight. We're all subtly conditioned by these corporate bells. It's as if companies are ringing Pavlov's bell in the back of your mind, and before you know it, you find yourself humming along almost reflexively. And psychologists have even more tricks. Have you heard of priming? Let me prove it in a tiny way. If I say dog, you might immediately think of bark. If I flash an image of a dollar sign, you might suddenly feel flush or cautious. These are examples of priming, subtle cues triggering associated ideas and feelings in your mind. Psychologists have shown this can even alter behavior. In one study, people who unscrambled words related to old age later walked more slowly. Your brain is being primed by subtle cues all the time. Interestingly, doctors see a version of Pavlov's secret in the placebo effect. Patients often get real relief from sugar pills if they believe their medicine. Their brains have been conditioned to associate that pill with healing. This shows how our own expectations, hidden cues, can trigger physical responses. Even scents can act like Pavlov's bell. Retail stores pump out baking bread or coffee aromas to make you feel cozy or hungry. Suddenly, out of nowhere, you want a pastry. These are environmental bells ringing in your brain. Little Albert is a famous, unsettling example. A baby was shown a fluffy white rat, initially neutral. Then researchers paired the rat with a loud, scary noise. Soon the child started crying at just the sight of the rat, a conditioned fear. This shocking study shows Pavlov's secret can create phobias. The mind can learn to fear things simply by association. So if Pavlov's rule controls our habits and fears, does it control our free will? Here's a twist. Neuroscientist Benjamin Libet found that our brain starts preparing for actions before we become aware of them. It's as if our mental bell rings and our body moves before we even decide. Some philosophers argue this suggests we have less free will than we think. We might just be responding to hidden cues. Still, knowledge is power. Neuroscience shows our brains can learn new tunes. Deep structures like the basal ganglia store these habit loops. Neurochemicals like dopamine play the role of little rewards. Your brain literally gives itself a treat when a conditioned cue arrives. Every time you repeat an action, the neural pathway strengthens. But if the cue changes, a different pathway can grow. Now, let's turn Pavlov's secret on its head. Use it to change your habits. Pick one habit to break. Write down the cue, the routine, and the reward, the parts of your habit loop. For example, if you snack whenever you watch TV, cue, TV time, routine, eat chips, reward, relaxation. Try this. Identify the cue. What happens right before the habit starts? Time of day, location, emotion, write it down. Change the routine. When the cue happens, replace the old habit with a new one. Instead of chips with TV, try drinking water or doing a short stretch. Reward yourself differently. Find a small, healthy reward that makes you feel good after the new routine. Maybe after stretching, enjoy a few minutes of reading or a walk outside. It won't change overnight, but patience pays off. Studies estimate it can take around 2 months of daily practice to cement a new habit, although results will vary. Keep at it consistently. Repeat these steps consistently. Soon your brain will link the cue to the new routine and reward. The old Pavlovian trick will fade. This is called extinction as a new one forms. You're essentially retraining the bell in your own head. Mind illusions are all around. In the screw-up effect, the word red printed in green ink makes you pause. Why? Your brain is so trained to read color words that seeing a mismatch throws it off. Or the McGurk effect. Watch someone's lips say ga while you hear ba, and your brain hallucinates da because your senses conflict. These aren't Pavlov's conditioning, but they show how much we rely on automatic cues. For example, if you spend all day looking at green, suddenly switching to red light can feel jarring. Your brain is conditioned to the old context. Even our beliefs and opinions can become Pavlovian. If a news channel repeatedly pairs a politician's face with victory music, viewers may start to feel positive about that politician without realizing it. It's a form of psychological conditioning through repetition. Confirmation bias works similarly. If you've learned to associate X with something good, you'll automatically notice evidence that fits and ignore the rest. That's like a Pavlovian filter on your thinking. By now, Pavlov's secret should feel a bit less mysterious and a lot more personal. Your brain is a pattern machine, constantly on the lookout for associations, like a smoke detector sniffing for signals. This means your habits often operate on autopilot through conditioned cues. This knowledge gives you power. Each cue you identify is a bell you can silence or reprogram. Awareness is the first step to freedom. Now you know your brain's secret triggers. Whenever you feel an impulse, ask, is this my choice, or just an internal bell ringing? Here are some key takeaways. Recognize your personal bells. Identify what cues trigger your routines. Notice your automatic reactions. See what your brain does when each bell rings. Use awareness to change the routine. Introduce new actions and rewards to rewire your response. If you enjoyed uncovering Pavlov's mystery with us, subscribe to Philosora and hit the bell icon for more mind-bending insights into how your mind works. Keep questioning the signals around you, and stay curious.